Hello everybody, this is Dr. Ilyas from the Department of Education, Hazara University, Mansehra. In my previous presentation, I discussed the causes of this very serious problem, bullying in schools. In this current presentation, I want to proceed from that and to talk about the consequences of school bullying. So, the question is, what happens to those students who are being bullied or who are the victims of bullying? There are three main types of possible consequences, although there could be other consequences as well. But my reading tells me that there are these three basic and main types of possible consequences. The first one is psychological, and then physiological, and the third one I term is curricular or co-curricular, or in terms of academics. Now, what are psychological consequences? Bullying actually impacts the victims psychologically a great deal. And some of the things that happen to the victims include continuous stress. So the students who are being bullied are under continuous stress throughout the process of this bullying. The second thing is that there is a kind of feelings of helplessness on the part of the person, or the student in this case, who is bullied, and so he or she can't do anything about it, and so there is this feeling of helplessness. Then there comes the feeling of guilt and shame, as the victim cannot do anything about it, or he or she thinks so that they can't do anything about it. So the result is a feeling of guilt and shame, because the victim actually thinks of himself or herself as weakling who can't defend themselves. In extreme cases, when the victims get to like the high level of frustrations, there could be suicidal thoughts on the part of the victims, and in many cases they can actually resort to committing suicides or to harming themselves in other ways. And one more psychological consequence is that there is loss of confidence among the victims. Then the next category that I have identified here is the physiological consequences, which is actually like how bullying physically impacts the victims. So there are certain symptoms that occur as a result of this physiological kind of stress that they pass through. The first one is headache. So the victims actually may suffer from long intervals of headaches. Then they might have upset digestive systems as a result of continuous bullying. One very serious problem is actually heart problems. So in extreme cases where the bullying prolongs and goes on for a long time, the victims can actually develop heart problems. Stunted growth is another physiological consequence that can happen as a result of bullying. And besides these, there are other physical ailments such as muscular pain and physical stress, and there could be others as well that one can identify on further research. Then the third category of consequences include curricular, co-curricular academic consequences. Among those, the first one is loss of interest in academics. So, because of this continuous stress on their minds, the victims actually lose their interest in academics. They cannot pay attention inside the class. They cannot pay attention to what the teacher is saying or what the teacher is teaching. And so they ultimately, they do kind of lag behind in studies, and they lose interest in academics. Loss of focus and attention in classes, because they are thinking about the bullies rather than what the teacher is teaching or what is happening in the class. This leads to falling grades. And so loss of interest in co-curricular activities such as games, etc., can also happen. Then truancy, where they actually start kind of bunking classes or kind of remaining absent from schools. So this can happen, and the ultimately the result could be ultimate dropout from the school, which is a very serious consequence. So these consequences in this category could also be regarded as symptoms by teachers and parents, etc. So what actually we can get from here is bullying is a very serious issue, and teachers and parents must keep an eye on this, especially the symptoms that one can see in this presentation. And if proper attention is not paid to this, this could be a very serious thing for the victims. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comment section. Thank you. Take care.